Right. Welcome to this week's transits. And we're starting into that magical month. I mean, we started, last week, but now we're definitely kicking off into March and having this very interesting time. And right now I'm talking about mainly what's going on is the Ptolemaic aspects, the conjunction and square and trine, opposition, and those that but there's also, I'm not going to go into it totally, but I just want to tell you, and sometime I'll do it as something on just these kind of odd aspects. But we've got some magical aspects. We got some ones that these quintiles, which are these 72-degree aspects, which are kind of otherworldly. It's when something's coming in from another space into this space, so to speak. I'm just kind of oversimplifying it, but it's like where creation and kind of comes in. When I said March is a magical month, we have these things appearing all month. So um anyway, those are popping off and adding to this creative venue. But I want to start with this today. And we've studied the different chart shapes, at least the Jansky's 7 basic ones, just to give you something to start comparing with. But if we look at the how our chart is now, and just ignore the vertex and ignore the moon and ignore the nodes here, the south node, but just look, from planet to planet, because moon moves around really fast. But just see, we have, as Mars gets a little bit further along, this is going to be, it's like right now about an inconjunct from planet to planet. And it's interesting, the ends. Look, we have both those kind of interesting malefics. Mars on one end of this pack and Pluto on the other. So I just wanted to point that out, that's what's on the ends. So right now, in what we're experiencing, I think, is, some real edginess, some return to some things that were hidden before or that didn't fit right, because we have this growing inconjunct here between Mars and Pluto. As Mars gets closer to changing into Cancer, it's going to exactly inconjunct Pluto. So there's some, I think, some energy. And then because Mars is now, gaining speed, it's going to be out of its shadow, moving forward. It's going to cover previous ground that we're going to be revisiting incidences this week. Like now, it's actually, because we're right into that ingress. It's Mars is ingressing in closer to that inconjunct. So we're going to have to right some wrongs. Some things are going to come back at us really fast in our face. Maybe some things that we didn't, that maybe we were misled to believe. Can you believe that? The media misleading us to believe something that's not true? Anyway, yes, that's going to be really apparent. And I just kind of wanted to point it out because sometimes we don't look at it in the whole entirety. We see the aspects moving and we see, oh, this square is forming, or oh, this, of yes, that's all true, but we have to kind of pull back and look at the whole thing and see what's going on in the whole chart. A few years ago, when we got into a lot of this mess and problems, we remember how contracted it was. I think we were, 86, 85 degrees. I don't know. It was pretty narrow. We were into a real tight wedge, and, the moon would break out once a month and give us a little relief. Oh my God, something's in the other side of the chart, something's widening us out. And then it would lock down kind of thing again. And that was going on, for months and months. And then it would widen out a little in the summer, and then we get it again in the winter. So you all remember that. But now, planets have evolved and we were widening out. And now I want to point out, this was yesterday's, and I just want you to see, things are changing. Look at the 29-degree, Saturn up here, and then the 29-degree Pluto. Saturn is going to go, it moved today, just as we were coming into the full moon. So let me just go hours, seconds, so you can see the the moon. I think it was 16 degrees is when it's exact. There it is. Okay, so yeah, it was right before sunrise this morning. Yeah, it was like 8. Oh no, it was like 7:40. Yeah, look here. It's okay. So here it's 6:38. So it's not quite up over the horizon. Yeah, do they? Yeah, yeah. I was thinking in my head what it was. Okay, so see that. So you can know when you're looking at this. It's also you're looking at astronomy. And you know, you see the sun. And I told you it was early. It was before sunrise. So right there, 16 degrees. You know, to 16 degrees is that opposing. The moon was in Virgo. Um, there it is. And then it's interesting, you know, we're talking about the vertex. So the moon is going to be going over the vertex today, the natural vertex. So I think things are going to be, this is the beginning of some kind of reveal. You know, this is this fated area again in the present moment, and it's Virgo, and it's going to go nitpick and be meticulous. And that Piscean nebulous stuff is just, it's going to dissolve a lot of barriers. So look in the world news or in the United States, more specifically, you know, because it's closer to home, and you'll see that starting. So here it is. Looky and see. Okay, so here we go. I wanted you to see that. Now let me go. Let's see. Let's just go day because we'll do it by the. That's a good way to see it. Okay, and then today. Whoops, I went 2 days. Today, there it is. Okay, so there. What else did I want to show you? And then actually, I want to go back to hours because uh, Saturn moves into the next sign. Boom. By 8, yeah, there was what is 8:40 this morning. That was Saturn. That's right. I knew it was one of them. Okay, so there it is. It moves at 0 degrees, 00 Pisces. Oh, look at that. All right. All right, so let me get these just over here so it's make it a little easier. I don't know. I can just see it better. Have everybody kind of look at it like this. All right, we'll do that. Because that's about the time it is now. Sun's almost ready to set. Go days. Okay, so here we are today. And we're noticing, what else do we notice? Before we move on, I want you to look at the cycles, you know, and don't get just hung up on the aspects. Although I'm an aspect geek. I love those. But look what's going on here now. Look at this, all of this stuff coming together in Pisces. And then, you know, we've got stuff going on here in Aries. Well, we'll get there. But look at the Pisces. We got a 0 degrees. We got Mercury at 8. You know, the sun right in the middle, like almost, you know, just past middle at 17. And then uh, Neptune air at 24. So we've kind of got some representative here in all those areas, right at the beginning, near the end, and you know the both sides of the middle. So we've got a really nice stellium of Pisces. Well, what does that mean? And look at, you know, and we're opposite that Virgo moon, but this nice stellium in Pisces, and you see, you know, Saturn is going to stay at that degree because for a while it's going to, you know, go retro back and then it'll be in there, you know, it does its dance. But nonetheless, we have the sun that's, you know, is going to catch up, you know, the longer moving one, and Mercury. The sun and Mercury are going to catch up with Neptune. So what does that mean? You know, this is the time of year, you know, we're getting that last bit of winter. We're getting that end before the new beginning, you know, before you know, we're coming right up to the equinox, you know, the vernal equinox, vernal spring, you know, autumnal fall, but this are at least in the northern hemisphere. So you can see that the sun is moving to that point of change, you know, coming to that. But on its way, it's going to join up with Neptune, and then so is Mercury. So they're all, you know, Mercury is going to be gaining on the sun, and then it's going to go retrograde soon because it's going to pass the sun. So all of those are going to come closer and closer and closer together. So let's just look at that and then we'll come back. Okay, so that's one cycle that we're going to look at. And just look, we're going to look at it day by day. Look at the sun moving closer and Mercury moving closer. I'm just going to go through it because it's a cycle. I don't want to stop even though it's 2 weeks away. But see how fast that's moving now. Okay, now if we just went back, it's like even just a few hours here. That's because Mercury's flying. Let's do it this way because they do all line up at 25. There's 24. Sun. And that's going to be right over here. There it is. Okay, so it was the 16th. It's at 11 a.m. The day before St. Patrick's Day. The day before St. Patty's Day. On the 16th, midday-ish. Look at this nice arrangement. And, during that little bit of hour or so before that, Mercury will be going over it all. I mean, it was like 24 and then it went, right? So if we went back an hour, look at, I mean, it's just starting 24 and then it's going to be gaining on the other ones and then it'll pass it. But I just want you to look at that. Isn't that beautiful? We have communications, we have the sun, the heartfeltness, and then we have Neptune. Neptune's in its own sign. Even though Mercury can be kind of spacey, maybe mentally confused, or mentally feeling, not so much thinking. Maybe it's more of an intuitive time because we're putting Mercury right next to Neptune and the sun is there. So it's also big. I think people will feel intuitively more on board with things. I think the psychic human bullshit detector will kind of reach a higher level. I think we're going to see people, globalist crap, and they're doing their same old song and dance, and people aren't going to buy it. There's of course going to be, a lot of, I think, just words confusion coming out. But I think this is to me, it's like a real psychic, feeling oriented matter. And then we have Venus over right before it changes into Taurus. We got Venus so much wants to be in her next sign and she's getting so close there. And then Jupiter smack right in the middle of Aries, just past Chiron. So I have to just talk about that for a second. So Jupiter and Chiron, Chiron we don't talk about a lot, but it's kind of the wounded healer, but it's also where physical things happen. So we've got Jupiter, the large things, masses, going over Chiron. So there's going to be some kind of a healing, or something's going to provoke something's going to poke the bear to provoke healing. But with all that Piscean things, that's what's very interesting. All right, then Venus is going so much toward her sign, so then very quickly, let me go by the day. And then by the 17th there, she moves into Taurus. Okay, we'll get there in a couple of weeks, but I just kind of wanted you to see where we're going with all of this, and how things are progressing, moving. We've got this big stellium in the Pisces, and then all this tight grouping, while we still have Saturn sitting there at that beginning degree. It's going to be parked there, kind of claiming that space and starting to move slowly through Pisces. Well, what does that mean? Let me go back and get back to where we are today, so to speak. Saturn in Pisces, I want to talk about that. It's, Saturn is structure, Saturn is order, Saturn is authority, Saturn is the government, the old world, the structure, all that establishment. And Pisces is dissolving of boundaries, is confusion, is watering things out, is intuitive, is connected to the psychicness, the inner. So we've got boundaries and borders and old regimes and old ideas dissolving. And then we have structure and order given to things that we haven't even yet dreamed yet. Ooh, I like that. And that we're just starting to dream into consciousness. And that's part of this. You see this building, that conjunction that we just talked about, that conjunction that's building, the Neptune, Sun and Mercury conjunction, because you can see here, we're getting some ideas. Now Saturn, is in a different place. It's got a feel. It's not in its most comfortable spot. And Saturn has been in its own domicile for 5 years. It was in its home sign of Capricorn, and it went through that, and then it went through its other rulership sign of Aquarius. Even though we assign the modern ruler of Uranus to Aquarius, Saturn, is an older ruler of that. So it's been in its own home, in its summer home. It's been in its winter home and its summer home for like the last 5-ish years. So Saturn now is now done with that. It's got to go on its journey all the way around, and now it's in a different place. It's in, a dissolving, uh, ancient ruler Jupiter expanding, because it dissolves, it expands, right? It has to just, mush out. So, what are some of these things that we can look at, on the physical level? Saturn in Pisces, we have foot problems. We could have bunions. We could have arthritis in the feet. We could have mineral deposits in the feet. So, we'd want to, mineral deposits are dissolved by boron, learn about boron, or actually it's borax, using borax, to help move the calcium out of the joints, out of the those mineral deposits, um, because over the years, calcium and mineral deposits, Saturn, deposits those in places that it shouldn't, and so you can dissolve those with different things. Okay, anyway, those that is there, and then also, looking at strictures, we want to dissolve old deposits, dissolve kidney stones, learn the power of apple cider vinegar, and then learn about how baking soda works. Those are very, 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 those three things are so powerful for helping redistribute and redissolve and help the body to deal with mineral deposits. Minerals are great, but not rust is not good. The stuff that deposits in your pipes is not good. So that's what we have to kind of think about, like on a physical level. Cleaning out your arteries, cleaning out your kidney tubules, making sure that you're drinking, purified water. You can't be drinking just unfiltered, unpurified water anymore. I mean, you shouldn't have for a long time, but my goodness, this is going to be the beginning of really people making sure that things like that are cleaned up. Pisces is nebulous. Neptune, Pisces and Neptune are also poisonous things, in that, and we're definitely having to deal with a lot of poisons. So this is also, looking at it on the physical side, where, it's Saturn there, we're going to have to get structure to the poisons that we've been subjected to. And, some of this is waking people up to that. Okay, those are the big things. Now we've got, we already talked about that. And then we have this little stellium, tight little stellium coming up in Aries. We've got Jupiter, I mean, Venus moving fast. Let me go back. See, we have this little Jupiter, Chiron, Venus little trio over here. And then they're gonna get tighter. Venus is gonna pull away. But, you know, Jupiter expanded the healing. We got this Jupiter Chiron connection coming up, and we had Venus touching them both, bringing the hope of healing, bringing, that, an Aryan quality. It's like, yes, we're going to bring it, man. We're going to do it. We're going to make this happen. So it's fast. But look here on Friday, now we got Jupiter lining with Chiron, which will be powerful. So I think a lot of this information that's going to come out in the next day, 2 or 3, I think poo poo is going to hit the fan. Yeah, and it's going to initiate a healing. People are going to be confused that they were given wrong information, but with Venus here, it's kind of like Venus in over here with Jupiter in Aries. I think it's like she's helping to transduce or soften the blow. We've got a tomboy. It's still a girl, but it's tomboy kind of. And I hope I don't offend anybody. If you are, I apologize, but or get a little thicker skinned. I've we've got to just look at this as symbolism, and Venus here is that benefic, and Aries is edgy. So we've got that mix happening. So it's just kind of like somebody tapping their foot with impunity, going, "Come on, I love you, but let's go, let's do this." And that's what really we've got going on. All right, then is the big things. You see, the moon is going to, of course, be making aspects all the way around, but we already talked about that. Um, that those are always things, and they come and go. I like to point out moon when it's just right on, or really a controversial thing. Although, you know, um, with the moon, well, when we went back to our today, our full moon, um, that kind of would kick off that information that's coming out, because we have the moon, today opposing that the sun in Pisces. So with the moon in Virgo, it's like meticulous on the feelings. It's the Virgo moon is it's not like a Cancer moon. Let me just put it that way. It's not mushy. It's not soft. It's not apologetic. It's discriminating and resourceful. So that's what's going, I think, going to hold people in check today as we're moving through this information that's going to come up. That's what I think will make it not as confusing, but it'd still be shocking stuff that comes out. All right. Moving on, Monday of next week and then back to Tuesday of next week. So we're just watching Venus get to the end of Aries. And then, we can see coming up, it's going to go connect with the moon node next, the north node. So we can look forward to, Venus and north node, which will bring, it should be bringing some things we like to the fore, things we like. Things we like up to the front. Excuse me. Let's see what else. And Venus will then just, excuse me, finish its trek and connect up with Uranus. Okay, so I think I'm gonna go get some water, and it kind of ends us today with our transits. Sorry, I'm choking, but sometimes it happens when you're talking a lot. So anyway, I hope this helps, and we'll see everybody next week.